Hey, what's up, players? This is Hall of Famer Teddy Long, and right now we're getting ready to have a six-pack challenge match with Potsy and Tino on the Big Podcast Show. Holla at a player.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Potchak, the Potsy and Tino Show. As always, our theme song is brought to you by Adam's House Cat. It's available on iTunes for yeah, apparently not. It's called The Wrestling Song. Is available on iTunes for 99 cents. And Tino, we are back. We are bold. We are old. Fat. What the duck, man. So like usual, I've gone ahead and I've given Tino an alcoholic beverage that he's never tried before.
That's alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
But why wouldn't it have alcohol?
I am hanging with you. I don't know why I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I wouldn't think I was having alcohol.
So you are drinking a Bang Mix hard seltzer.
Yeah.
You're drinking the Pina Colada.
If you're a pina, it smells like rubber, like burnt rubber.
This one's. So I'm drinking the Purple Kittles.
And that smell like burnt rubber, great burnt rubber.
No, it smells like purple drink. And it tastes like Skittles.
And this does have a weird aftertaste to it. I mean,
you know what? This thing just does say that we're on YouTube right now. It's saying that there's some kind of error going on. So we're only on YouTube apparently.
You the tube.
Anyways, so
You the tube.
So I've been watching the TikTok.
Oh shit.
And it was a pretty good one that I saw today. It was James Corden sitting there getting mad at Adam Levine and saying, I think I would be. We just froze. Okay, we're back. I don't know what's going on. I don't think it's the internet this time. I think it's the computer actually giving us trouble. Although we are down to only 4% frames dropped, so we're doing okay now.
Okay.
So James Corden basically told Adam Levine that he thought he'd be a better lead singer for the band Queen, because Adam Levine became the lead singer of Queen.
Okay.
And he goes, but I can't prove that because Queen's not here. And then Adam Levine goes, well, actually, they are. And all of a sudden, like, out of nowhere, the stage opens up and Queen comes out and they just start playing and Adam Levine sings a song and he's like, what do you got, James? And James is like, oh, gee, thanks, Roger. Thanks, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for telling me you were in town. And then, of course, he jumps up and he starts singing a song. And I only watched part one, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. So, Tino, what's up with you?
Let's see, shit. Nicole and Matthew went out of town last Thursday with my mother-in-law. They went up to New York. So I chilled. Then Friday night, Haley and I went and saw The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. I think I'm saying that right.
Yes, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
And then that was I thought it was a pretty good movie. Then Saturday went to Hickory. Drove back Sunday. Pretty much slept all day. Was going to go to movies Sunday night, but my daughter decided that she wanted to take Dad out to the movie. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we went Monday. That's why we didn't have the show Monday. And we went and saw Fast and Furious 9. Now.
Well, hold on. Let's say hi to Chris Barrett in the chat.
Wash out, baby.
I would also, and yes, I already know that we're having trouble with our picture for some reason. I would also like a new AEW World Champion. I would also like new AEW Tag Team Champions. I'm okay with the AEW TNT Champion.
He's going on a weird God's favorite wrestler. He's borderline blasphemous, but I'm gonna let that slide because before every promo,
Vince McMahon wrestled God though.
Before every and that was blasphemous too. But before every promo, you see him praying. And my favorite this week was, "Thank you for my hot, flexible wife." That was
now a free agent.
Yeah, so that's why I think she's coming. He's mentioning her more and more.
So Nicole's out of town.
Nicole and Matthew out of town.
Haley is
left today.
So you dropped her off.
Yeah, she'll be back Friday night because she's got to work. And then Saturday I'm playing the Mason Jar Brewery in Fuquay from 5 to 8. And then Sunday, got a dilemma. So Sunday, my brother-in-law this past weekend went down.
Because this is the 4th.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Sorry. So my brother-in-law went down last weekend to South Carolina and he bought all these fireworks. And he came back.
Chris Barrett says it wasn't blasphemous because the reborn Shawn Michaels was God's tag team partner.
This is true.
We agree, Chris Barrett. So
my brother-in-law Christopher went and got all these fireworks, and he's all excited about from South Carolina. So he's excited about shooting them off. Nicole's on a Facebook group, and she sent me a message today with a thing from Apex Police saying, pretty much, they're going to be on the lookout for illegal fireworks, and it can be up to $500 and jail time if you're caught. So we got these illegal fireworks from South Carolina. So my dilemma is, how do they know? How do they know?
So every year that we would do the fireworks at my sister's place off the lake, the cops would come by every year. They came by every year, and they'd hang out for a little while. They'd actually watch some of the event, and then they'd be like, "All right, you guys look like you're being safe. You go ahead and continue being safe and have a great night." And the reason why was because none of our neighbors actually called in, and around the entire lake there'd be like you've been to it. There were like 4 or 5 different things of Chris Barrett wants to know how long is the jail sentence. It's probably overnight.
It didn't say.
It's probably overnight, punishable by 30 days, which typically means that you get community service.
But my plan is, if they come, I'm gonna be like, he bought them. They're his.
If it's at your house, you are responsible.
He bought them. Actually, we're gonna be like in the cul-de-sac, like kind of like in the street.
See, I've already decided I'm not going to South Carolina, so I'm gonna be here, and I'm probably not gonna be doing anything, because I'm afraid that there's gonna be gunshots going off outside.
You think?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Not like in my neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
But like I'll hear them, and that's enough.
You scared of gunshots?
Especially if they're in my direction.
I don't think anybody's gonna be shooting at you in the 4th.
If the police hang out with you while you shoot off, then you're fine. Yeah, just don't hit them in the face.
So I'm like, now I'm
let's
like,
go to the Hardy compound.
now I'm like, I don't know if I want you coming to my house.
I bet if you were to show up at the Hardy compound with your brother-in-law's fireworks, they'd let you shoot them off. It's a compound.
Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't know if I want him to come shoot
Matt
me.
Hardy probably like shoot you.
He won't shoot me. I'll be like, I'm Senor, whatever his face.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. So nothing really going on besides playing the mason jar, huh?
No.
Why bleh? I'm like,
It tastes like burnt rubber.
it does. Something's wrong. I think you got the vid again.
No, if you have the vid, you don't taste anything.
Well, maybe
Or
you taste
smell
burnt
anything.
rubber the second time.
No.
I don't know. Mine tastes like purple Skittles.
Anyway, so what's up with you?
What's up with me? Well, have we done this show since I did Fayetteville Comic Con?
Yes.
I have.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I got my denial letter from New York Comic Con. They don't want me at it.
Why?
Well, okay. So when you apply to actually show up at these shows, they require money, right?
Right.
And I don't like paying.
It's cheap.
Yeah, that's how you survive in this world. You be cheap. No, so I applied, knowing it was a $500 table. It's a 4-day event, and I I applied for it, and they basically said that they get so many applications for the event that they can't let everybody in, for it, for being an artist or whatever. The good news is my buddy Eric Klaus, who I edit his book Ninjas and Robots, he got in, so he's going to pay the $500, drive up or fly up to New York and actually do that show in October. But I've started trying to put together the idea of doing different horror conventions instead, and come to find out that there actually is one in Charlotte in September. And it's by the same guys that do their normal February show. It's just their February show got canceled, so they're now trying to do one in September, and they've got like Giancarlo Esposito going to be at it. They've got from The Mandalorian, and the new the new Far Cry game. He's the bad guy. He's in a lot of stuff, and he's good in everything. But then they got like the dad from Dexter, his Dark Passenger. They've got him in it. I think his name is James Remar. And then they've got some other people that they've announced. But then there's also a big horror convention in Kentucky in October. Now, here's what sucks about it. It's the same weekend as Baltimore Comic-Con.
Okay.
So Baltimore is a quicker drive. It's a show that I like doing, but
did they ask you to come?
No. In fact, they've already emailed me back saying we're not doing any specialty things like that for small press people. So like you have to be a known name to be invited as a guest and everything to one of those shows. Chris Barrett says, "Nah, I feel like Jeff doesn't want to risk any more legal interaction since he's on his fifth chance and is probably on like double secret probation." Chris Barron. Yeah. So I'm really thinking now, and so here are the sides to the comic or the horror convention. It's closer to Eric, the artist of Junior High Horrors.
Maryland.
No, this would be Kentucky.
Okay.
So if we did Kentucky, he's closer to that. Then the two big names that are going to be there that I already know of are Bruce Campbell from Army of Darkness and Evil Dead and Spider-Man and pretty much every movie that Sam Raimi's ever done. And then on top of that, they've got Kane Hodder, who was Jason. In Jason, Friday the 13th, 7, 8, 9, and Jason X. Okay, so 4 films. He's the only guy that's ever done it more than once. So he's going to be there, which means it's a much bigger horror convention than even the one in Charlotte right now looks like it's going to be. So I want to do that one. Well, the tables and everything aren't that expensive there. It's in Lexington, Kentucky, which is probably an 8 to 10 hour drive.
Did you fly?
Why would I fly? I can't take all my stuff with me if I fly. So you drive, you take an extra day off, you drive halfway or whatever, or just drive straight through or whatever. But I have family in Lexington as well.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. My uncle Jim, my cousin Jim, John. Actually, John's probably in New York or somewhere else because he apparently. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Apparently, my cousin John was actually supposed to go into one of the Twin Towers the day that they actually disappeared. But yeah, that entire portion of my mom's family lives in Kentucky. So I thought, man, that'd be kind of cool. Maybe I'll sit there and say, hey, I'll come out to Kentucky and see if one of them will put me up for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the Baltimore people that you were on ABC Sunday morning. I wasn't on ABC Sunday morning. I was on Localish. I already did say all that. In fact, that's in my press pitch. I always sit there. I even link the video.
Yeah, he does.
Chris Barrett. But thank you. Good thought, and obviously something that I did consider. So I want to do both of those shows now. It is not bad. That thing is really good. I drank one of those earlier. Now when we try this strawberry blast, that's going to be interesting. Did you say Ote?
Okay.
Have you seen the the one little blonde girl on TikTok that's
Call me Chris. She's my favorite. She's little Riley.
She's got the little baby hand.
Yeah. And she does all the different characters.
She's like, this is what it's like in my family when my mom gets mad about something. What? Who really thinks that? Anyways, I can't do it justice.
She's my favorite. But the little Riley's like, okay.
Yeah, tell her that you want McDonald's. You want McDonald's. No, tell her you want McDonald's. I want McDonald's. It's almost like my favorite one is the one with Derek. What's his name? Jason Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Banks comedy is my favorite one.
God, he's funny.
I watched like 4 of his today, and they just every single one like makes me laugh. Like
you beat the bed? I didn't beat the bed, so I broke it. Beat the bed.
Somebody broke in and peed
I
my.
don't want to eat the donut. I said no. I eat the powdered donuts.
That's cocaine. Anyways, and then anybody that knows me on social media saw that this week I finished 3 plots for the upcoming books that I'm doing. Junior High Horrors, Karate Kai, Junior High Horrors, Strangest Thingies 2, and one that I hadn't announced on the Potsy and Tino show yet, the 35th anniversary of Artie, my comic book character.
You talk about that?
You and I talked about that. We talked about that on like a couple nights ago.
I thought we talked about Artie being 30 on the air. I'm sorry.
I don't think so. We might have, but yeah, with him being 35 years old, it's going to be probably the lowest selling book that I've ever written because nobody else knows who that character is.
I'm sure they do.
But it's what makes it funny. He's actually been in an issue of Spider-Man. He's been in an issue of X-Men. He was in a book called Major Bummer for DC Comics. So
Artie?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just shows up in the background, like on a mug in the one. He shows up on Spider-Man's T-shirt.
Did you get props for that?
No, of course not. That was just my friends who were artists on the book sitting there, and I still have this thing in my eye. Artists that I knew that were on the books actually being like, "Hey, I threw Artie in there for you," and I was like, "Awesome," because it was like 20 years ago or whatever. But and now the character's 35 this year, so we've got to get covers and everything else done. But I've got some pretty good names attached for at least indie names.
And Artie hangs out with this chick.
Yeah, with Immortal, Elisa. So you can only see her midriff in that picture right now with the way the camera's set up. But anyways, so yeah, that's what's going on with me. And but I was thinking about it because you and I had this conversation the other night. You and I went over to Ruckus and we were.
And you made a friend.
Did I?
Chick whose brother and sister was in. She saw you. I was like, okay.
Yeah, this weird girl that just kept asking me for like, do you? Because I was drawing and she's like, did you just do that? Did you? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, let me show you these pictures of my brother and this weird Russian girl that puts like wolf faces on people when she does her art. The artwork was cool.
I proceeded to go to my phone, and then he looks at me and goes, "Are you not listening?" I'm like, "She's not talking to me. I don't."
But you're an artist too.
Oh, well, no.
She would have followed you on Instagram.
Nah, no, thank you. Because her boyfriend was looking perturbed.
I don't care. But what's that gonna do? I mean, she starts messaging me, then then we got a problem. But
you got a problem, ain't we?
But so you and I were having this conversation. I kind of want to talk about it.
I don't remember it.
Well, that's why I'm gonna bring it up so that we can say it while Chris Barrett's in the audience and maybe other people will show up. But I was talking to you about the fact that like people that see that I'm a comic book writer or that you're a musician talk about how like we're living our dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did I say when I initially said that to you?
You asked me if I thought I was a local celebrity. I'm like, no. A lot of people know me when I go places, and then a lot of people do say, "You're living your dream," and you were like, "I'm not living my dream." He said, "I don't want to sit here and work. I want to be able to do the Comic Con," and I feel the same way. I'd rather be traveling and making music. I don't want to work a 9 to 5.
Or you'd want to have it to where like you were the local celebrity, where you're like the Barry Manilow in Philadelphia, where like you're doing American Bandstand and sorry, I'm dating myself, really really far, but what I mean is that like you'd love it if all of a sudden it was, hey, come see Tino who has this song on the radio, and you'd be playing at just a local venue, but you'd play there 2-3 times a year, and you'd make all your money in that.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to do, because it'd be like, hey, now it's $15,000 to get Tino to show up once instead of $350 to get Tino to show up once. And then the same goes for me. Like the idea of getting. Chris said, well, did you ask the Baltimore people how many of their guests have been on a nationally syndicated TV? I have not asked that, and I don't want to upset them and make them think that I am that self-centered and whatever, because I am. But we both said it.
You are.
We both said it. I mean, we literally, have a show where I talk about me for an hour on Monday nights normally, and well, that's because I don't let you talk.
An hour and a half.
But like people always say, Rob, you're doing it, you're living the dream, and it's like my dream is not working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. As much as I like my job, I don't want to do that forever. I'd much rather say, hey, I've got a syndicated cartoon on. I've got a show on Sci-Fi Channel, or I had a 2-hour-long movie of Immortal come out. Like I would love to do that rather than ever. Yeah. And to think that you're famous, celebrity status, anything like any of that stuff in those situations, it's like, but are you though? Yeah. It's kind of like I was at Fayetteville Comic-Con the other 2 weeks ago, and they had Caprice Coleman there, they had Magnum TA there, they had Lex Luger there. Lex Luger and Magnum TA. Lex Luger was in a wheelchair, like he got rolled in, and Magnum TA was on some really cool looking like 2-wheeled like thing, except he was locked in. So like when he got to his chair, he sat in his chair, but like to get him into the building, he rolled in as well, RoboCop style, which is really sad. But he had that major car accident way back when, just as he was getting ready to to be the South's Hulk Hogan, and that's the way people looked at him back then. But unfortunately, never happened because, like Brian Pillman, got into a really bad car accident. Yeah. And I never saw Magnum TA wrestle or anything else, but the other side is that they had these new guys, new wrestlers, not quite young boys, but new wrestlers at the convention as well, and they're walking around wearing their wrestling trunks, like walking around the entire convention in wrestling trunks and whatever, and it's like they're acting like they're big shit, and these are the guys that are making $70 a night and traveling from town to town in North Carolina in bingo halls and gymnasiums, so it's like all the more power to them. But that's kind of how I feel sometimes when I go to these comic book conventions too. Like I literally go to the convention, if I make $70, I think, well, I'm driving home rather than getting a hotel room. Now there are other conventions where I do $2,500 and I'm like, I'm living it big tonight. Get the steak, But and you've got to feel the same way too. Like when you travel out to Hickory or whatever, and then you travel back, and you're like, man, I work for 5 hours, which is great because if I make like $300, I work 5 hours for $300. But when you drive out to Hickory, how many more hours is it driving?
It's about 2.5. Yeah.
So it's 5 hours back and forth. So now it's a 10-hour day. Still made $50 an hour. Or $35 an hour, but you didn't make bank, right? So that's why we're still slumming it and doing it like this. Magnum would have been bigger than Hogan. He had the cool name and was best friends with Dusty. In the South, Chris. Yeah. In the South.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been bigger because once Hogan hit WWF, that was it. Vince had it was a bigger machine.
Now the question, however, is whether or not Vince would have wanted him instead of Hogan. Hogan was bigger, but Magnum had the full head of hair. They both had the same mustache.
They would have made him change his name. He couldn't have been Magnum TA.
I don't know, man. Like possibly, but they might have called him Magnum PI.
He wouldn't have done that too. They weren't trying to damn fight those damn.
He'd have shown up in a Ferrari. Yeah.
Had a butler named Higgins.
They probably would have actually like cut his hair.
Coco Beware would have been flying a helicopter.
They probably would have cut his hair and made him look more like Tom Selleck. You know, which would have been interesting.
He could have kept the mustache
because Tom Selleck had the mustache. Yeah, exactly. So
said TC BKB Coco Beware.
Be junkyard dog flying the. No, they bring back Mr. T. Mr. T would fly the helicopter. I'm getting an old helicopter.
That was before 18 time. And Mean Gene looked like Higgins, so he could have been Higgins.
So Tino, obviously we want everybody to support the show and buy a T-shirt. I don't really have my own personal GameStop story of the week this week.
Some bitch.
But something happened at GameStop last week.
It's the same story you told last week about the shorts.
Oh yeah.
So
But now they can. Now they can wear shorts. No, I was just really tired, man. I almost felt like I fell asleep watching Raw.
You don't have any all the GameStop stories? You told them all?
Oh, I might have one. You want me to tell one?
You had a whole list.
All right, let me see. There was one time I actually wrote half a comic book while I was on the clock. I wrote half a book. It was pretty funny. But let's see.
You could tell some Arnie stories.
We could. Well, I mean,
Arnie story of the week.
We could. But so all right. It probably jumped out of my eye into your eye. So remember, you know, I talk about going to Vegas and doing the convention every year, and one year we went to Vegas, and we went. The way it works is you go to the shows, and they've got like 15 classrooms that you have to go to, and they're all vendor paid. So it's like one Square Enix, you know, makers of Final Fantasy, one's Microsoft, one's Sony, one's Nintendo. Capcom will have one, Konami will have one. You know, so it's all the big name video game companies. Activision has a big room. Activision's room was always the best. Okay, and I'll tell everybody right now, if you ever get froggy, try to look up on the internet the Activision videos that, like the music videos that they would do for these shows. Because they would have like the three guys that worked for Activision come out, and they would like sing something to us. Like one year when Dick in a Box was like the big Saturday Night Live song with Sandberg and Justin Timberlake. They did one called Crash in the Box, and it was Crash Bandicoot, and it was a guy dressed up as Crash Bandicoot, but they kept opening up a box, and there'd be like the video game in there. It was like Crash in the Box, you know, and it was pretty funny to us because like the Activision room was always funny to us when no other room was funny. Like most rooms would put you to sleep or whatever, and because they're like, oh, this time the game has 4-player co-op, and now you can actually use this weapon and this gun, and it was like, all right, let me go gamble, you know, like I'm in Vegas, like let me, you know, so Activision would always bring the hype. They would truly, there were 3 guys, one of them was named Owen, one of them was named Matt, I think, and these guys would put together amazing presentations until they had to talk about Call of Duty, like, because I don't give a shit about Call of Duty.
Right.
It's the same game every year, like, not only is it the same game every year, but you know what they get you to buy? They get you to buy the season passes. That what they do with those season passes, Tino, is they rehash the maps from previous Calls of Duties. Oh, your favorite map, Nuketown, now available in this game. And it's like, yeah, it was available in the last game. Why do I want it in this game? Why don't you make a new fucking map? You know, but no, they put the same fucking map in all the games.
You're really salty about that.
I think it's ripping off consumers. I think season passes are ripping off consumers. What happened to buying a $60 game and getting $60 worth? You don't anymore. Do you think I'm wrong?
I like the Call of Duty.
Yeah, you can like the Call of Duty. So how long does it take you to play the single player portion?
Depends if I sit
2.5 to 3 hours?
If I have time to sit
It's a
down and play.
$60 game.
I don't have time to sit down and play straight through like that.
Right, but even though you don't, you're still only taking 3 hours of your total time to be able to play that thing. Now, the Mass Effect collection that I have downstairs, when I bought it originally, 3 games, $60 each, bought all the extra content for them, and got about 100 hours out of it. Now, the one downstairs that I'm playing right now, bought it for $60 again because I was like, you know what? Yeah, I like it. And it's in 4K now. Okay. I'll get 100 hours out of it. But it's still $60. Like, it's a remake. And they got $60 out of me. Granted, I like the game, so I'm going to buy it. But like, Call of Duty would be given to me every year, and that's the only reason why I own it. And I'm not kidding. Hell, did you hear in wrestling news, Booker T lost his lawsuit this week to Activision because he said that the character of Prophet looked too much like G.I. Bro. And their argument, Tino...
They used the body of The Rock to make it.
They used, from the neck down, Dwayne Johnson, so there was no way it could have possibly been Booker T. Does Activision give cool things away like hats and t-shirts and food? Chris Barrett, yes, they do. And I'm about to tell one of them stories. And it's not on the list.
Oh, shit.
You ready? So one year we go to Vegas. And they had a competition. And it was, before we went to Vegas, it was whichever stores saw the greatest improvement on their reservation numbers for like 30 days, the top 200 stores in the company would get invited to a party at one of the hottest places in Vegas. Okay? So this time specifically, they had where it was like the top 200 stores, and then it was also like the top 10 districts in the company, because there were like 300 districts, so that would allow like 400 people total to go to the thing, right? Well, out of my district, there were 3 of us that got to go. It was me, it was a guy named Rick, and it was, who was the other one? I think it was Brian from formerly of Briar Creek. So the 3 of us got into this thing. Did you finally taste it for real? He burped it up, and I bet it tasted like pina colada, didn't it? You were so like, something is wrong. Like did you eat a rubber tire before you came over? Like So anyway, we won the competition, but the rest of our district didn't. So the rest of our district has to go and do like some sort of like event with everybody else, and the 3 of us go to this thing, and we walk to it, and we're all drinking. You know, it's Vegas.
Right.
We're all drinking, and you can drink on the strip. So we're sitting there like walking down the street with alcohol, and we're drinking. We get down to the event, we go in, and they have this thing called Camp Freddy playing. Okay, you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay, so Camp Freddy, the Playboy Club. No, I forget what the place was actually called, but Camp Freddy was playing, and Camp Freddy is Dave Navarro's like specialty Vegas show where musicians come into town to play alongside Dave Navarro. So this special night, for some reason, hosted by Mark McGrath. Okay? So Mark McGrath wasn't singing or doing anything like that. He was just the host of it. Probably because he's now on like Entertainment Tonight or some bullshit. But it was him. It was Travis Barker from Blink-182. It was Slash from Guns N' Roses. I want to say Tommy Lee was there for some reason.
They don't need a drummer. Travis is there.
Yeah, exactly. And then the special singer that they brought in for it. Now, Activision used to make Guitar Hero, so you can understand why they had all these big names there. Ozzy Osbourne was the singer that they brought in.
Oh, fuck.
And there, like I said, there's only like 400 GameStop managers there with like 20 district managers or whatever, and of course all the executives are there too. So the executives are all wearing their suits. They're all in one corner sitting there drinking and chumming it up with like the people from Activision. And And we're all sitting there, you know, it's full open bar. They literally brought in like the top DJ in the world to sit there and play like the opening act, and then they did Camp Freddy. By the time we're leaving, we're like walking like this to get out of there, right? So lo and behold, and I don't make this up, Rick, we're almost having to carry him out of the place, right? Like that's how drunk he is, and he like's falling over. And as we walk out the door, he bangs into somebody and almost knocks him down. You want to know who it was?
Ozzy Osbourne.
No. No, though, meeting Ozzy was really cool. No, it was the CEO of GameStop, Paul Raines, who unfortunately passed from cancer not too long ago, and you know now they're 2 full CEOs past him. But almost knocks him over. And then we're sitting there, Brian and I pick Rick up, and you know we just dart because we're like, I don't want to be known as the 3 guys that knocked over J. Paul Raines, and Rick out of nowhere just yells out, "Power of the motherfucking players!" Which power of the players is GameStop's motto. So not only did he almost kill the CEO of the company by knocking him over, he then proceeded to yell and scream something out that...
Did you get fired?
No, because we got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, that is not the only time I've had incidences with Rick at conference, more specifically in Vegas. Rick's a cool dude, normally. But then there was another time, this time I've actually told part of the story, where I ended up waking up and I had like $900 in the bed next to me because I apparently hit a straight flush when I was drunk and
You didn't tell that story.
Oh, I didn't tell that story?
No. I will remember that, waking up $900.
Yeah, well, I started asking whether or not like I had to prostitute myself to win that money to the person that was staying in the room with me. And my buddy Tony, who was staying in the room with me, like, you always have to have a gamble buddy in Vegas. Okay?
Surprised they didn't take your money while you were knocked out.
Well, that's why you have a gamble buddy when you're in Vegas. Like, I wasn't knocked out, like, almost. But
You didn't remember winning. Like I said, it might have been $1,200. You woke up with $900.
Well, this was the year that 4 months later I had heart surgery.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was in a pretty bad way anyway. Yet somehow, alcohol seemed to help me walk from one side of the strip to the other and back in Vegas, which I don't know how. But so anyway, I was sitting there playing like 3-card poker, 4-card poker, all the weird side games and stuff, because I like playing those because I read the odds. I learn all the betting and everything with them, and kind of, you know, understand how all that stuff goes. So Chris Barrett says, so you got to party with Ozzy, Slash, and Motley Crue. Yes, I did. And it was pretty awesome. So it was a second-rate Alice Cooperstown. So on this particular occasion, like I said, you have to have a gamble buddy, okay? And what I mean by that, for anybody that doesn't know out in the audience, if you're going to Vegas, when you're gambling, it's free drinks, right? So as long as you're sitting at the table and you're putting money down at the table, you get free drinks. If you're the gamble buddy, oftentimes it also means that you get free drinks because you're close enough to the action to where the girl coming around is just asking who wants a drink, right? So Tony's my gamble buddy. Tony doesn't drink very much, which is great, but he still has a couple, partakes, you know, enjoys his time or whatever. And at some point, we hear some crazy shit going on at one of the tables near us. And we look over, and there's Rick sitting there yelling at the dealer, saying that the dealer cheated him out of money in Vegas.
Oh, shit.
Now, I've had a couple occasions where I sat there and said, hey, you just took my money. Do we need to look at the cameras? Because, again, I know the odds, I know the play, and if I'm not drunk, I know what's going on. Like, I'm, you know, wired to look everywhere. So there's been a couple times where I was like, yeah, that happened to me or whatever. Well, Rick is sitting there like yelling and screaming at this person, and they're like, "Sir, you need to calm down. You need to." And he's like, "Don't tell me to calm down. I like you took my money. I want my money. Blah blah blah." And like it's one of those situations where they know he's going to lose the money again, so I think they just gave him the money to shut him up. And he's like, "Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's my money." Like so it's like, okay, now you're pushing the envelope. Like getting kind of nutty and shit. So like at some point it starts again, and he looks over and he goes, "Can you guys believe what's going on?" And we're like, "We don't know him. Like, I'm not sitting at the same table with him. You know what? I might go to a different casino than him, even though the casino we were in at that time was like across the street from where we were actually staying. But I was like, I
don't know him.
I don't know him. I don't want to be. So I proceeded to get drunk and play 3-card poker, and I was down to like my last $50. Okay, out of everything I brought, and this is like the first day, because you start gambling, you start drinking, and you're like, where'd all my money go? Well, this is why you have a gamble buddy, yes. Because the gamble buddy, when you are drinking heavily and they are not a heavy drinker, are supposed to sit there and tell you, Rob, it's time to go. And you're supposed to know, almost like a safe word, that when they say Rumpelstiltskin, it's not Rumpelmints. Like you okay, and you get up and you leave or whatever. Tony kept trying to get me to leave, and I was like, no, just one more hand, whatever. And I got down to like my last $50. He was even telling me this. He's like, your last $50, you're playing 3-card poker, and you put the specialty bet out, and you put your money out. And I'm like, okay. I said, what happened then? And he goes, you hit a straight flush. You hit 40-1. And I was like, so what did I do after that? He goes, well, then I said, Rob, now it's time to go. And I said, what happened? And he goes, you didn't leave. He said, you went down to about, out of the $600 or something that you won, you ended up losing like another $300. And then all of a sudden, you did it again. And I was like, and then what happened?
you blackout drunk.
Because a long time ago, and depending on which hotel casinos you go to, you either get really cheap alcohol or you get really good alcohol, like depending on where you are. And I think we were at New York, so when they made a Crown and Coke, they were actually using Crown Royal. So we're like, I'm like ordering doubles for some reason. I guess they weren't strong enough when I started. Or I was like, I'll win this game, like whatever. And I got so drunk, and again, I was also in a position where I was almost dead at the time because I had 2 fully clogged arteries, and so the next morning, and it's like 4 a.m. when I wake up, full cotton mouth, just like what's going on, and I look over on the bed, and there's just money, and I'm like, Tony. And he's like, what? And he's waking up. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, what? Did I win? And he goes, shut the fuck up, Rob. And I'm like, no, seriously. I got money in the bed next to me. I thought I was out. And he goes, Rob, you hit a straight flush twice. And I'm like, fuck. I was like, did I give you any money? And he goes, yeah, you gave me like $200. I was like, you earned it. What is going on, Davion? Ladies and gentlemen, a former local celebrity, now living life with a view, Davion. Davion used to be a retail store manager as well, and he posted this video because he just left his life as a retail manager, and his last day, he was he does this video, and I'll have to show it to you, Tino, because it's so good. It is such an exact replica of what you feel working in retail. And it was only like a minute snippet of like what every day working in a major retailer feels like, and yet he nailed it. And Davion used to work at GameStop as well. So once again, another GameStop former manager shows up to say hi. So welcome. Chris Barrett says that his safe word is banana. Chris Barrett, you popped Tino. Good on you, sir. He says the skit. So Davion had this skit where he basically is like the manager and the employee.
Right.
And the employee, is basically being told, hey, so you're gonna do the job of a manager. We're gonna give you keys and we're gonna do all this. And he's like, okay, so that's gonna pay me better, right? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, then why would I want that? Well, because you want the responsibility so that way you can become a manager at some point. He's like, no, I really don't want.
I'm saying no, and I'm not even in that position. No.
But you have been.
Yeah.
I was actually having that conversation with somebody earlier today, where it's like when you're in that spot at like a GameStop or whatever. There was one time where I got sat down and they said, hey, you're gonna run the district while we look for a district manager. And I was like, well, why don't I just be the district manager? And they were like, oh, you're not ready for that job. I'm ready to run the fucking district, but I'm not ready to be a district manager. What the fuck? So
they didn't want to pay you. You weren't what they were looking for.
Well, yeah, and obviously I was never what GameStop was going to find to be the yes man that they were looking for, right? But it was, you would do it because you'd be like, see, I proved I could do it, and then they're like, yeah, thanks for that. Now here's a guy that's going to tell you what to do for the next 6 months until we fire him because he's not doing the job that you just did for 4 months while we were looking for him. And that happened to me like 3 times. 3 times. One time, the district was being run so well that the life of corporate, the job was being done so well that the regional manager came in that next week and said, okay, I'm going to be the acting district manager for this district now. So that she got all the praise for how well the district was doing because I was running the district. I digress. It's good times, though. It's good times. And I've got to say that working at a place like GameStop for as long as I did, I got to meet people like Ozzy Osbourne. I got to meet people like Mark Henry and people like Booker T and Hulk Hogan and The Miz, Kelly, Jason Mewes. I got to meet Jason Mewes the one year. Got to meet AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christy Hemme. Although I met Christy Hemme before that because she was in Raleigh for some reason at one point. She used to date like Matt Hardy or something. No, Ashley Mazzaro did. Yeah, maybe I'm confusing them, but I got to meet both of them. So you got to meet so many cool people, and it's kind of like the only way I get that now is by going to comic book conventions and actually getting to meet one or two of the people, like when I met Rob Mello at the horror convention here. Davion saying preach. It's so I want to sit there and say how much I really respected my time and everything else at the company, and I don't badmouth the company. I tell the truth about these stories that I lived and everything else, but I don't badmouth the company because the company's doing everything it can to stay alive, to keep its employees employed, and continue to do things like that show. Unfortunately, they're not doing the convention this year, which sucks. Davion, well, he just there it goes.
What the hell just happened?
Conferences were the best part of being a manager there. I take that back. It was the best part. I enjoyed meeting the Frag Dolls. Yeah, so Ubisoft used to have this team of super hot shooter players, and they were called the Frag Dolls, and they would whoop your ass. Like there was, if you were playing a game of Far Cry or Rainbow Six or any of their games, the Division, anything like that, they would whoop your ass. Seems like you met an awful lot of Playboy playmates for working at GameStop and not going to the Playboy Club. Now that you mention it. Although Kelly, unfortunately, I don't think ever was one. Would have been my favorite issue. Well, Stacy Keibler would have been my favorite issue, but Tori Wilson was one, and that one was like, and then she did the double issue with like Sable at one point, back when Sable's face hadn't fallen off. And that's Mrs. Brock Lesnar too. I better watch what I say.
And suplex you 25 times.
And for real though. Yeah, no, I really did. Davion's absolutely right. The conferences were absolutely the best part, you know, and unfortunately they were never long enough. Mm. And last year, before the pandemic hit, they'd already like shrunk the amount of time we were going to be where we were going. We were only going to like either Nashville or Indianapolis. We weren't even going anywhere like super cool. Like Indianapolis has one of my favorite steaks ever. If you're in Indianapolis, you go to St. Elmo, and get literally one of the best steaks that you will ever have.
St. Elmo's fire.
No, just St. Elmo. St. Elmo is what the place is called. Vegas got one of my favorite steaks too at Delmonico from Emerald's restaurant. The really cool thing about Emerald's restaurant out there is they always took care of you. Where like if you showed back up and you said, hey, this is like the 4th time we've been out here. For every time that we come out with the GameStop conference, we come to your restaurant. They'd be like, oh, well, here's a free appetizer. Except it wasn't like, here's mozzarella sticks. It was like, here's our soup of the day for you to try. And it's like some mushroom thing, and you're like, just looking at this is like artwork, you know. And you're like, you try it, and you're like, meh, you know, and you just like melt. But and they did that every time. Like one time they gave us a meatball, like one meatball each from like what their specialty meatball thing was going to be that night. Delicious, like just friggin' phenomenal stuff. So you know, but their steak, like if you got a filet mignon, like you could cut it with your fork. Oh, that's how tender the thing was. So yeah, it just amazing stuff. Also had probably the best chicken and waffles I ever had there too. The downstairs from that Emerald restaurant, Gordon Ramsay had a place called like Southern or something like that. And it was just a chicken and biscuit place, or chicken and waffles place. But so it was like a breakfast style thing.
I've never had chicken and waffles. I've heard about it. I've never.
Dude, you live near a place that makes excellent chicken and waffles. Dame's Chicken and Waffles.
Where?
There's one in like Morrisville. So I mean they deliver. Get DoorDash. It's good. Chris Barrett said, I'd rather have the mozzarella sticks. I don't think you would, Chris Barrett. I'll be real with you. And then, of course, you know, like, so at places like that, I would get, like, the tomahawk cut. Because what we would do, and Davion probably got to live this too, wasn't it for the weekend or were they longer? So let me explain. The conference used to be, it would start Sunday and go to, like, Wednesday, and you fly out on Thursday. So you'd have... what we would do is we would fly in either Friday or Saturday because GameStop would actually still pay for your flight. You'd have to pay for the hotel for the extra room nights. But we would fly out like Friday or Saturday, so you'd stay Friday to like Thursday. So you get a full weekend and you're only using like 2 vacation days.
Gotcha.
You know, so always great. And then they pay for your flights. So all you'd have to pay for is your hotel room. Well, one year I got the dates wrong, and I accidentally put that I wanted to stay an extra day afterwards. And like at this point, I was broke. I was like, man, I don't have any money to stay. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, they wouldn't change my flights to the day before or anything else. And if they did, it was gonna cost me like $75 to do it. So I used all my comps to get a free room that night from gambling too much, which probably told me something. But you know, like so this year or last year in 2020 when they were going to do the conference, they had actually planned to do it like Sunday to Wednesday, and everybody like would have a class at the beginning of Wednesday, which would be like the last thing that you would do, and then they were going to book all the flights from 2:00 on then, so you'd actually be home Thursday and be able to work Friday and Saturday. Yeah, there was a rumor that the guy who actually became the CEO, the first thing that he actually said was, wait a second, we're taking our managers out of stores in the 3rd quarter, which is our second busiest time of year. So he didn't like conference. So when what's up, Joe McClain? Sketchy. Yeah, so apparently, like, he really didn't like the idea of conference. So when they had the pandemic hit, getting to do conference was every Wednesday morning, come in 2 hours early so that you get to watch a video where nobody actually paid attention. Like, and a couple of those, and it was like 10 weeks of it, so it wasn't even like, you know.
You were still there for that, huh?
Yeah. And when they sent their thing out asking for feedback about how they should, you know, if it happens again where they have to, well, the first question on it was, would you like to do conference like this again, or would you like to have in-person conference? I just sent an emoji like this. No, I actually sat there and said, what do you think? Seriously, this was the worst conference ever.
You said that?
Oh yeah, it was a anonymous survey. But I digress. The other part of it was that, like, they asked questions like, what would you do differently if we got stuck doing conference like this again? And I even said this, like, because there was like a conference Facebook group, and I said it like day one. I was like, you guys didn't have any energy. Like how hard would it have been? Now, granted, they filmed their sequences in a store and everything, but how hard would it have been to get a fog machine and one of those light things that sits there and spins and then put jock jams on when you come out? Like, how hard would that have been? $50?
Yeah.
Sure, it would have cost you a little bit of money, but not the thousands of dollars that conference does, the $1 million or whatever. So that was a yes. Which part was a yes?
That was a yes.
So I flat out told them I definitely hated the way that they did conference that year. The fact that they came out and made it look like they were just talking at us rather than trying to really be energetic and try to explain to us why conference is such a good time of year. Like, bring energy.
Yeah.
Like, have someone like me host it. You know, like, and I'm not saying me specifically, but, you know, someone that actually brings energy to the thing. You know, I'd have been like, where's my fog machine? But instead it's, hey, GameStop, just so you remember, we're not allowed to talk about any of this stuff to the public. If we do, that's how people lose jobs. That was literally one of the things that they said. Because immediately after they did the first one of the things, the stuff was posted on the internet. And it's like, that's ridiculous. One, why are GameStop managers so stupid? Like, why would they do that? Two, Rob and I are notorious for speaking our minds without remorse. That was Davion. That you wanted to keep the conference over video. Have Conrad. Okay, now you're just trying to piss me off, Chris Barrett. Rumors and innuendo.
That sounds like your damn JR.
No, it does not. My JR sounds like this, King.
Might have been Stone Cold. That it sounded like one of your other voices.
I can't help it. They all run together, man.
All right.
At least I haven't started those TikTok videos where I'm actually doing my impressions.
No.
Although I'll tell you what, there is a guy that does a Vince Vaughn impression that is hilarious, and he also does a Mark Wahlberg one. So he always does, like, here's Vince Vaughn wearing a pair of sunglasses for the first time.
Well, I've seen those, yeah.
But I love when he does the Mark Wahlberg part because he's always like, oh yeah, that's really good. Oh, Donnie, get over here and beat him up. And it's like, why is he always talking about Donnie? Have Conrad Thompson host him. Boo, Chris Barrett. Boo, you sir. Put that down.
Let's get wrestling.
Oh, you want to talk about wrestling?
Yeah.
What? Now you're breaking shit, and that's not even cheap.
I didn't break it. They went back together.
Something fell out of it.
It did not.
Yes, it did.
It's still in there, jackass.
There were two of them in there.
Oh, it's on the floor somewhere.
Yeah, see, he broke it.
I don't even know what it is.
It's like an Apple Pencil, except not for Apple. Forget it. Let's get through. So, all right, folks. Tino wants to talk about wrestling. He wanted the GameStop story of the week, and then he didn't want it to continue.
Well, you went off on a tangent.
It was still about GameStop.
As usual. There's a battery on your floor somewhere.
So go ahead and start.
You start.
No, you
It's
start.
your show.
No, you.
Apparently, the past hour.
Chris Barrett just said, "What's up with that?"
Exactly.
So, Which show do you want to start with? How about that?
You didn't watch any of them.
I guess I did.
You said you did.
I watched Monday Night Raw.
This week or last week?
Last week.
Did you watch anything other than Raw?
Have Conrad Most. Now, see, I would be okay with Conrad Most hosting it if it was the Conrad Most from the Murrah days, Davion. Murrah, the former restaurant up at North Hills. Disappointing that restaurant is no longer there. It was one of my favorite sushi places. They made a fried sushi roll that was baked. It was like fried in potato.
That sounds interesting.
It was really good. They called it the Flaming O.
What was in it?
Davion will have to tell you what was in it. I want to say it was crab, probably tuna. They also made one called the Surf and Turf, which actually had seared steak on top. That one was excellent.
See, I'd eat sushi if it was like that.
Sushi is like that almost everywhere you go. That's it. Next time we go out, I'll order the sushi you're paying. There was one time Davion was managing over at Murrah, and I actually said, Davion, it's dealer's choice. You go ahead and you pick what sushi I'm getting. Because when you go to like actual sushi restaurants in Japan and over there, you don't get to pick. They go, oh, I got you. And they bring out a boat of sushi, and you got to eat it. All of it. Chris Barrett said fish was in it. He's right. So, all of G's restaurants are closed now. That roll was that was the Hurricane. That's right. But it was Flaming O sauce, wasn't it? Or Screaming O sauce. Screaming O. Yeah, because it was supposed to make it. Yeah. Anyways. All right, folks, we're going to get into pro wrestling at this point, so if you don't know anything about it or don't want to chime in about it, we understand. We'd love to have everybody stick around for it, though.
Still here.
Sketchy should still be here. Chris Barrett's still here. But Davion, thanks so much for joining the show tonight and helping me reminisce.
Why are you kicking Davion?
I'm not kicking him out. I said having him reminisce. He can talk pro wrestling with me all night.
Oh, okay. That's not you trying to kick him off. Hey, I wonder if T put us on at Ruckus. Remember
You should text him.
I don't have the number.
I have his number, but my phone's downstairs. Yeah. So we watched Monday Night Raw last week.
Yes.
And you know what I was blown away by?
Nikki Cross.
Super Nikki Ash.
Ash, was it
Nikki
almost
Ash.
Superhero?
Yeah.
That was this week.
That was yesterday, and like I'll tell you, if they just got rid of the mask, the outfit would be okay. It would be okay. Would it be great? No, but it would be okay. Eel sauce, man, I love eel sauce. Tino was trying to figure out what eel sauce was, and I just said it's like a sweet dark sauce. It's not really from eels, by the way.
Okay.
But it's delicious. So you want to talk about
Alexa Bliss? Or yeah, I was just being funny.
Go ahead and talk about Alexa Bliss.
I'm still trying to figure out
what the fuck they're trying to do.
Yes, is she a tweener? Is she heel? Is she face? Is she?
I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna wait to find out what she is, babyface or heel, until they have audience. Because right now you can have her sit there and have Reginald smack Reginald in the face, and it's completely fine. You know, or have.
So she's taken over, because I noticed now that she was doing a variation of the Firefly music. Now that she's got her own. So are they trying to distance her away from the Fiend?
It does kind of look like it. Although that started this week, not last week. Last week she still had the Funhouse music. And then the Funhouse music actually fits the character, so I don't know why they would get rid of it unless they're getting ready to bring the Fiend back. Which is possible. If they do, I would anticipate that he'll be on SmackDown while Alexa's on Raw. So expect the return of the Fiend around the time of the draft. There you go. But no, what blew me away about last week's Raw was this. Everybody that normally wins lost. Drew McIntyre lost. Randy Orton lost. And by the way, it was Drew McIntyre lost to who?
Riddle.
And it was Randy Orton lost to who? John Morrison.
Oh yeah.
And then
But that was
AJ Styles lost.
Did he? He did lose because the Viking Raiders came down and distracted him.
And who did he lose to?
Somebody stupid too.
They're not stupid. They're guys that should have been pushed a long time ago.
Who did he lose to?
Ricochet.
Ah, yeah.
You had AJ Styles and Ricochet in a match together, and AJ Styles didn't go over. Like, just last week, we were talking on this show about how Vince McMahon himself has said that the product has gotten stale.
Well, I don't think they're going to push. I don't think they're going to push AJ Styles to go into the Money in the Bank anyway. Because
they didn't.
I know.
That's
what I'm saying. They weren't.
Raw is set now.
They weren't going. No, they still got.
No. They have 4 people in there already. So now it's SmackDown's turn to get 4 people.
You're right.
And number 4 is the one that should not have gone. Drew McIntyre should not be in the Money in the Bank. In fact, what I loved about the Money in the Bank ladder match up until Drew McIntyre won last night, yes, spoiler alert, was the fact that none of those guys would have ever had a chance. And now you put Drew McIntyre in there, and now none of those guys have a chance.
I don't know. They might swerve you. He might not.
Matt Riddle could very well win.
Yes.
And he does hold a victory over Bobby Lashley.
I also think he's starting, and I know we're talking about last week's, but last night it's kind of mixing together to me. Is it me or is it like he's starting to snap? And he's thinking he's Randy Orton. It's like single white female. He's trying to change himself into Randy Orton because you see after he won the match, he wanted to play Randy's music. He's up there and the power went off. That scared the shit out of him. But my favorite part was in the
that he did the
and it scared him. But my favorite part is when he was in the backstage area. He had on Randy's jacket. He had his hair pulled back, and he's doing the whole Randy mannerisms. And then they spoiled it with comedy when they let Damian Priest come in there. He goes, "Oh, I was looking for Riddle because Burger King. We can go to get a couple of the chicken sandwiches, but he's like,
no, bro, it was really me. He's like, yeah, I know it was you.
He said, no, he's like, and then my favorite part was the end of that skit when he goes, no, Randy's lucky to have a friend like you. And he goes, oh, and he goes back into being Randy.
So, I'm going to say, you guys know that I watch or listen to Busted Open.
I can't tell.
Last night was Matt Riddle's show.
Yes.
And here's a guy that like 6 months ago, we were sitting there going, Vince McMahon got rid of his first name. Vince McMahon doesn't understand the character. He's making him Jason Mewes from Clerks and Mallrats. And suddenly, he's all over the show. Not just, and he's over, okay? But he's all over the, like last night was a 3-hour episode of Raw that had more skits of Matt Riddle than anybody else. And it was so much better than watching like the coronation of Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown and them going to the backstage area and seeing the 2 figureheads.
But we talked about that last week too. I don't know if it was last week we talked about it, and I even said it's kind of like back in the.
Did you try the strawberry one? I haven't tried it yet.
Burt Rubber. No. You keep that shit.
Yeah, I don't like that. Well, it still doesn't taste like seltzer. So, folks, just so you know, if you I almost knocked it over. If you try these Bang Mix alcoholic seltzers, there is 0 carbs in them, 100 calories, and yet they have more flavor than any other seltzer on the market.
That one's nasty.
I wonder if it's because you were drinking that. Excuse me.
I don't know. Anyway.
I think so. Chris Barrett says he thinks that Riddle's being treated like RVD light. I don't think so.
No, but what I like that what they're doing is we talked about this. If it wasn't last week, I know I've talked about this before on the show. It's kind of like they're going back to the Attitude Era where they're actually.
Barrett does say that he wants more Riddle, by the way.
Yeah, where they're actually showing continuity through the whole show. Riddle was through the whole show.
Well, but they had been doing that because
they're getting better about it.
Because they've been they're still not getting better at it. Okay, like last night was much better, but I mean they had all those episodes where it was Bobby Lashley going up against the Miz, and every hour on the hour it was you had that moment where Miz would try to get out of that fight for whatever. You had multiple times where Drew McIntyre had to go through multiple members of like the Hurt Business, or so you've had those continuity things. The difference with last night's episode and what we have seen recently is, one, Riddle makes everything better. Like he not just in the comedy bits. The comedy bits sometimes are lackluster. Last night's were pretty good. Damian Priest should never sit there and talk about going to Burger King, and yet he did it, and it didn't hurt, right? But Riddle in the ring makes everybody better too. So he's literally doing things differently that are better every time he's on the air. And this is a guy that like was probably in the doghouse the first 6 months that he was in WWE because he kept saying, "Give me Goldberg. Let me fight Brock Lesnar." Well, that's because Riddle's a legit shooter. Yeah. We talked about this a little bit last week. The legit shooters, him and Shayna Baszler. Why isn't Shayna Baszler getting the same kind of treatment Riddle is? Because the funny thing about Shayna Baszler is she's not fucking funny.
I don't think she means to be.
No, she does not mean to be.
I don't think that's not her character. Riddle's character is like.
So like Chris Barrett just said Riddle is probably the best worker on Raw. I will not say that because you have AJ
Ricochet.
Styles. Ricochet is probably the best high flyer, but AJ Styles is probably the best worker. Like AJ Styles makes anybody better.
You don't think The Miz is a good worker?
Miz is a fine worker. He doesn't make people better. He's a solid hand. Who earned the right to be a two-time world champion, okay? But solid hand. Bobby Lashley, solid hand.
Do you think
Kofi Kingston, solid hand.
You don't think he's a good worker?
Does he make people better? Daniel Bryan makes everybody that he goes in the ring against better. Hell, right now Roman Reigns makes everybody better. Kevin Owens makes everybody better.
That's trying to piss me off.
Sami Zayn makes everybody better. You know what I mean? Like they literally like you could give Sami Zayn a mop, and he's literally going to be able to wash the floor and get. Yes, Ziggler is a hell of a worker. He's a bump machine. Bobby Roode, same thing. Bobby Roode is an excellent worker. Like, why are they a fucking tag team? They're a great tag team. Don't get me wrong, but you can tell that those two are only with WWE because WWE doesn't want to let them out of their contracts. Like you could tell. You could tell that that's what's going on with those two.
They're trying to piss Charlotte off either. I think they're gonna put that bet on Charlotte.
That's gonna piss her off.
If they don't, I think because she'll just fucking go to AEW with Andrade.
Dude, she's probably got 5 years left on her contract. They're not letting her out of that. Hell, did you see the picture that they posted this week where he was wearing an AEW shirt and she was wearing a WWE shirt and they were working out together? Yeah. I say that AJ Styles 10 to 15 years ago, he would have been the best worker, but he had to deal with TNA through the good and bad. Yeah, so did Sting. Rude and Ziggler are the new rockers. No, sir. No, sir. They are better. They're like, you know what they should be? They should be the new Road Warriors, but they're not big enough. Like, physically big enough. But they're talented enough to be them, right? Yeah. I don't know. What I want to talk about now, a little bit, what the hell happened to the NXT tag division? They all got released.
I was surprised that they let Tyler Breeze. I thought it was.
I'm not. You and I talked about this last night or 2 nights ago. The fact of the matter is this: is that Tyler Breeze and Fandango are perfectly fine. They're okay workers. Are they worth the money they were making? Probably not. And I say that because I'm starting to wonder if the people that are all being let go are ones whose contracts came up and Vince was like, sign them for $250,000 a year. Because that's what they were doing. Braun Strowman had $1 million a year contract because his contract came up. And what was happening? Well, I'll just take these hands to AEW. And now he's going to. Because Vince McMahon was like, cut the salaries. Let's get it back into within reason. Now, again, this is a company that literally is showing that they are making more money hand over fist than they have ever made before. And what are they doing? Cutting main eventers.
I hope they don't sell completely the Peacock, because I told you Peacock pisses me off. Put all the fucking pay-per-views on Peacock. Don't have me go looking for a fucking pay-per-view and it's not there.
So I'm going to tell you, that's not WWE's fault anymore.
I know that.
It's Universal. But I don't want them mad at me. So you have at it.
With all due respect.
Got him. Got him. Nope.
Yeah.
No, this one isn't very good. That's what it is. Braun should have been like, "Hey Vince, let's play pick a hand" after being fired. Yeah, he should have given him. He should have given him those hands. But
he should have played front hand, back hand.
Well, let's just put it this way. You know, last week's Raw, I was wondering how they were even going to put it on, because like all the names being released, it was like, well, who do they got? You know. Then you see people like Angel Garza still working there, and you're like, what the fuck's he there for? The fuck's he ever done? He had that girl with the missing tooth from The Bachelor.
You liked her.
I mean, until she opened her mouth. She'd always win the spit the water contest in the pool.
No, not gonna do it.
Yeah, you want to. So, one of the things Busted Open talked about today was the Naomi and Asuka versus Piper Niven, Doudrop, and Eva Marie. And Bully Ray was like, did you guys see the poo-poo face on Naomi when she walked out to the ring? She was like, we're doing the job. She came out with just a... knowing that they had to do... And it wasn't even Naomi that took the pin. It was Asuka, the, 5-time women's champion? The longest reigning champion in NXT.
Last week and this week.
But like, how does she go from having the title for like a year?
Because Vince had nothing to do with it.
To literally losing to a rookie?
That's what worries me every time.
And by the way, the only person that ever beat her in NXT, Eva Marie.
That's what worries me every time that they have a call up from NXT.
Angel Garza is probably the next wave of firings. So's Akira Tozawa. Okay.
They have he's a 24-hour champion. They can't fire him yet.
You know what? Fire him and get rid of the belt.
No, that's the most entertaining part.
Well, that's what they want you to think.
Shut up. Maybe that's my train of thought. Every time they have an NXT call up, if you're doing good NXT, they fuck you on the main brand.
It's not everyone. Finn Balor won the title, blew out his own shoulder. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks.
Charlotte Flair's got a name. You can't use Charlotte.
Sasha Banks.
She's a Flair. I'll give you Sasha.
Becky Lynch.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm not done. Kevin Owens beat John Cena on his first night.
What are you doing with Kevin
And
Owens
became hold on, the second Universal Champion, behind Finn Balor, who couldn't go.
What are you doing with him now?
Well, he's got a last man standing match Friday night, apparently.
He's going to lose.
Yeah, probably. They're going to repackage him. He's going to come out with a bald head and a goatee. He's going to start saying, what? Vince will be like, nobody will even know what it is.
So breaking glass will be cracking wood.
Cracking wood?
I don't know. Cowbell.
It'll be something from Canada. It'll be like maple syrup pouring out of the... So...
It won't be what? It'll be
But Bianca Belair.
Okay.
You know, You can even go ahead and say that they didn't ruin Enzo and Cass until Enzo and Cass ruined themselves.
What are they doing with the Street Profits?
They've been tag team champions.
What are they doing with them now?
Well, Montez got hurt, and now he's out with surgery.
I think the only reason,
although the surgery has nothing to do with why he's hurt.
They didn't have a whole lot of women in the division either. I think that's why they're pushing Bianca, because she was fresh. You gotta think of that too.
I mean, Rhea Ripley came in and became women's champion as well. So you can't say any of those people didn't get a push. They're
about to feed her to Charlotte.
Well, they've been feeding her to Charlotte.
No. She's about
they fed her to Charlotte when she was the NXT champion.
Exactly. They just like fucking NXT.
But, you want to sit there and say that, but think about it. Bray Wyatt came in from NXT and was good. The Shield came in from NXT and was good. You can't say that it was everybody.
Oh, they started pushing you at first.
Well, the Shield, all of those guys became world champions. Dean Ambrose did.
He did.
Yeah. Seth Rollins, I don't know what they're doing with him now.
Wearing those stupid suits.
Yeah, but him, they gotta have him sit there and talk against Reginald, because Reginald came out in that weird pop culture comic book suit this week, and I was like, did he just steal that from Seth Rollins?
Yeah, he did.
Or did Seth Rollins start stealing all Reginald suits? Either way, Nexus also came in from NXT, and I'm gonna say that Nexus could have come in and been really big, and they did, and then they immediately tanked them. Now granted, you do have some things like Retribution. Keith Lee came in and was in a big spot, and apparently Keith Lee shit the bed.
I don't know if he shit the bed or this didn't have anything to do with it.
They say he shit the bed. You don't beat Randy Orton in your first night on Raw and then disappear unless you shit the bed.
I don't think that was a bad match. So how did he shit?
That wasn't the bad match. Apparently there was a bad match after that. Keith, why are you not looking better in that? Told you. For those that didn't hear, there was something that just went off. It was actually fireworks. People outside have been putting off fireworks all week, so because you could hear the afterwards. But anyways, so that's how I felt about Raw.
Okay.
Now NXT, I did not get to watch, so you're gonna have to tell me what was there about NXT that was worthwhile. We got Diamond Mine.
I think that's about the only thing. Oh no, I did. Go ahead.
Did you happen to see the new Ric Flair commercial for the Car Shield?
Where he chopped the shit out of Eli Drake and did that back bump. I love those commercials.
So you gotta think at this point that it's not just Hunter that is seeing Eli Drake, LA Knight, as who he is. Someone else in charge of everything has to those commercials have to be WWE commercials, because one, they're always broadcast during WWE programming, but two, you don't have LA Knight in one of those commercials unless it's a WWE produced commercial
too.
Yeah. So unless they were made, and they could have been made 6 months before he actually debuted or whatever, he could have still been Eli Drake during them. But I mean, I gotta ask, man, how long? We know that there's talk of moving Karrion Kross and Thick Boy up already, right? Bronson Reed. But how long before LA Knight makes his way to the main roster? I could almost see him being drafted, and being the guy that's really to the moon.
I think they gotta change his name. I'm just not feeling LA Knight. I think of British Knights every time. You remember the old shoes? LA
He's not even British.
I know. Was it LA Knights or was it LA Lights or whatever it was in the shoes?
They had LA gear.
There was LA gear or something else too. I don't like the name LA Knight.
They probably asked
Eli Drake. I don't know why they would let him keep that.
Because they want to own it. LA Knight is being pushed way too hard, way too soon.
No, he's good.
He has all the talent in the world.
No, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good.
That ladder match was amazing, and that's against Travis Knight. I mean, Cameron Grimes. That's who he used to be. Travis Knight. I think that's what his name was. Anyways, and I love what's going on with the $1 million belt and everything. Like Cameron Grimes is suddenly a babyface, and
It's only a matter of time.
but who would have ever thought that Cameron Grimes, that not just chicken shit heel, but he was like a weasel. Like he was like Bobby Heenan weasel.
He got to the point where, you know me, I like if you're a heel, like I'm not digging Roman Reigns. I mean, I understand what he's doing.
Did you say you're not digging Roman? What the fuck is wrong with you?
He's an ass.
Yes.
I know. That's what I'm saying though. But Cameron Grimes heel, I was like,
was a weasel.
and I liked it. I don't know why. I liked
it's like mix Bobby the Brain Heenan with Pauly Shore.
I liked it. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it became entertaining. His in-ring stuff doesn't really appeal to me. Like I don't care about him in the ring.
They're
at
not
all.
letting him do the stuff that he's. I mean, he is very capable. He's a good worker. They're not letting him do like when he was in. Where did he come from? Impact? Was he in Impact or was it already?
Yeah, like I said, his name was like Travis Knight.
It wasn't Travis Knight. It was something else. They call him the Carolina Caveman. But he had that aggressive, and that stomp that he does. It was more aggressive. They toned it down. But he had more.
I hate the stomp.
Oh, dude, that's fucking. I don't know what the fucking. That's what I like about it. It is nobody else is doing it, and he can hit it on anyone at any time. That's one of the best signs of a good signature.
Cameron Grimes was a babyface the moment he started feuding with DiBiase. Obviously, he was actually a babyface a couple weeks before.
Oh, he's a babyface when that fucking music video came out.
Well, that was already in the that was like as they started conceiving this whole idea. But yeah, like he wasn't a babyface during his Dexter Lumis stuff.
No.
Like, how creepy is it that Dexter Lumis is a babyface, knowing that he is supposed to be a stalker and named after like the doctor of Michael Myers and Dexter from the TV show Dexter. Like
he doesn't speak. I don't know how they're gonna push him without.
I think
a
Indy
mouthpiece.
Hartwell's going to end up being his mouthpiece.
You think?
I think she's going to end up being the one that speaks for him. Like what else where else do you go with it? Like how did they take the creepy character that wanted to be with Christy Hemme from Impact, have the same exact character,
Sam Shaw there,
have the same exact character with a different haircut, different color hair. It's not even a different haircut, different color hair, and yet he's doing the exact same thing, and yet now it's a baby face when it was like uber creepy, disgusting before.
I think it's all about who you go against and how, yeah.
I mean, I told you, it's just fireworks. I don't even know where they're coming. They're probably down in the other part of the neighborhood, but I still don't understand how that could be a baby face. I guess back in the Attitude Era, people were probably wondering how a beer swigging guy that kicked his boss in the nuts and then gave him a stunner and then gave Linda McMahon a stunner. I watched that video on TikTok the other day.
Shane's stunner. It's definitely a stunner.
Well, he gave all of them a stunner, and it was like, hell, we're back on USA Network. And I was like, holy shit, they were off USA Network for like 3 years at one point when they went to TNN. God, that was just bad times. Although it was probably some of the best programming they ever did. Yeah. They had less worry about the censors and everything else. But that night he's like, you're a good-looking lady. How about you all have a Steve Weiser with old Steve Austin? And then he's getting like real close to Linda McMahon, like he's gonna make out with her. All right, so Hit Row. Just printing money.
Yes.
The only thing I don't like about them is that we know who the big guy is because he's
I can't get into him as a heel, because you watch him as a heel on NXT, and then I go back and watch Treasure. I'm like, oh, this dude's a cool guy, man. He's just a wrestling fan like me. And then he tries to be a hard ass on NXT and it just doesn't.
Loomis is already a babyface, but Chris Bear has to say that you put him with Michael Hayes, and boom, instant. You know what? Only if they get to play by Freebird rules in their matches. Could you imagine Michael Hayes getting in the ring?
No. Let's not do that.
He'd have to put his drink down.
Let's not. Send him off the DDP too.
Oh boy. Oh man. So then we also had a new stable arrive in NXT last week.
Yes.
And obviously tonight we should be watching NXT, but we're not. Diamond Mine.
Trying to see where they're going to go with that.
So, how often is it that the stable is solidified by the manager?
Yeah, because he was mentoring or managing that Tyler Rust, that one kid that's in there with him.
Right.
Roddy came back, and then there's another guy from Japan. He's another, I don't know what that was. But we were talking about this
Saturday, yeah, Sunday.
I don't think that Roddy is going to be that, because I don't think he's ready to lead a group. So they're bringing somebody else in, and who did we say it should be?
Oh, we said it should be Patrick Boudreaux. Heenan family was manager. Was it though?
What?
He says the Heenan family was manager-centric stable, and you could say the same about the
Hart Foundation.
Well,
everything Jimmy Hart had.
No, Hart Foundation, like
not the Hart Foundation. What was the other one? WCW.
Well, I was gonna say the Dangerous Alliance with Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Although when you look at who was in that now, you're like, well, shit, that should have gotten over. You know, and when you look at the Heenan family, I mean, you had Andre, you had the Brainbusters, you had Haku, you had
Perfect.
Mr. Perfect was in there for a while. Ric Flair was in there for a while. I mean, so when you talk about the Heenan family, I gotta say it wasn't really Bobby Heenan centric. You know, I want to agree. Because he easily, up until Heyman, was the best manager of all time. But, you know, I just can't. Like, because like, you had, sure, Rick Rude was in there.
Forgot about Rude.
You know, how do you forget about Rude?
God.
Motherfuckers that forgot about Rude.
Forgot about Dre. Gotcha.
Well, that's where I went with it. All right, so Tino, we're gonna lay the smack down because I don't really have anything else about.
I don't either, and that's right now.
It's fireworks, man. It's fireworks. Like that one, you hear that?
I heard that one.
You know, like you get that big mortar shell pop, and you're like, okay, is that coming through the window? But so SmackDown, Edge came back,
and they beat the shit out of him.
So he got that baby face turn because
when he turned, he wasn't a heel.
Well, he was a heel against Daniel Bryan. He was a heel.
Okay.
Like Daniel Bryan was the baby face in that match at Mania, and we haven't seen him in a while.
He's supposed to be coming back too, I think.
I don't know, man. Maybe they laid him off.
Hey, not that he cares.
Well, he would care because his wife is under contract to them. You know that virus protection. Okay, cool. We'll just hit that button right there. So,
just put that over there where you can see it.
So we got the coronation of Shinsuke with
I think they're gonna I don't know how they're gonna repack.
Is his name Rick Boogs?
Boogs. Yeah, Boogs.
So why is it that Rick Boogs literally looks like they took all the guitar talent out of Elias and put no wrestling talent into this guy, and just suddenly he's like a shell of Elias playing guitar for Shinsuke Nakamura? I don't know. Like, am I wrong?
No, I don't get it.
Anytime you retire and then come back, boom, instant babyface. Yes, that's normally true, except for Roman, because
he didn't retire.
Well, did he not though? Like he left with with
Leukemia.
leukemia. That was pretty much a retirement. He said I'll be back when I beat this.
Yeah.
You know?
And he beat it and he came back, so he didn't retire.
I guess. Is John Cena going to be instant babyface when he comes back?
Probably.
People are still going to yell Cena sucks.
Just like they do Kurt Angle when his music plays.
But they're not saying it to Kurt. They're saying it to the song. Like with the song. They're not saying it to Kurt.
Yeah.
Did they at one point? Yes. But do they now? No. Although Kurt's in bad shape.
I haven't seen him.
Kurt's in bad shape. He says that he's constantly in pain every day. And he can't take painkillers anymore. So,
And he's shaped like a question mark.
He is shaped like a question mark. It's horrible. So why did Baron Corbin look like he was going to cry when they were introducing Shinsuke Nakamura as the king?
Because that was him. He was a king for 2 years.
Cena was never a real babyface. He was like Hogan. No, Hogan was a real babyface. Like Chris Barrett, I've told this story multiple times, but when it comes to Hulk Hogan, and an earthquake sat on his chest. You remember how Earthquake used to do that?
You sent him a letter.
I sent a letter. Because Mean Gene Okerlund told me that Hulk Hogan needed my letter. And then I stopped watching wrestling for about 4 years because I saw Hulk Hogan was going to be having a TV show called Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah, Hogan's not hurt.
I was like, that's how I felt. I was like, and the Easter Bunny's not real?
You lied.
I was so mad. I really was. It hurt my feelings. It did, man. I was legit hurt by that. I mean, I was what, 12?
Damn.
What do you mean, damn?
I thought you were 7 or 8. You were 12. You're almost a teenager. About to cry.
I don't know. What year was that?
I don't know what year.
86? So I was 9.
Okay, that's better.
Okay.
That's better.
It's 86.
That's better.
And it wasn't Trouble in Paradise. That would have really pissed me off with you.
No,
it was doing 3 Ninjas or some stupid shit like that.
Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny. What was the one where he wasn't he on a ship at one point?
Yeah, I can think
1988. So I was 11. Actually, I was 10 because I wouldn't turn 11 until the end of the year. But I was pissed, man. Like when I found out that he didn't really need my letter or me taking vitamins, or I was like, fuck that guy. It was probably the first time the word fuck came out of my mouth. I was like, I don't even know what this word means, but fuck that guy.
It's salty.
I hate Hulk Hogan. At least Brutus Beefcake really did get injured.
And then you saw him in the NWO. You're like, this guy's cool again.
Who, Hulk Hogan? No. Didn't I ever tell you that story? So I guess I stopped watching wrestling for 8 years. Okay, because it was 96?
Yeah.
When the NWO showed up. So in 96, when the NWO showed up, I just happened to be flipping through the channels. I was 18 years old. I'm flipping through the channels, and all of a sudden I see Hulk Hogan with spray paint on his beard, and I'm like, what the fuck's this guy doing? He's really trying to make it look like he's not old, And then I saw him beating up Roddy Piper, and I'm like, wait a second, Roddy Piper was always the bad guy. Why's Hulk Hogan beating up Rowdy? Why are the tables turned? And I was hooked. I legitimately was hooked. Even though they didn't know how to write a fucking storyline to save their lives, I was hooked from that moment.
So when did you go back to WWE?
So interestingly enough, it was about the time that they did that WCW, I think it was WCW NWO Sold Out, and the main event was Kevin Nash and the Giant versus Scott Hall and I can't remember who it was, but Scott Hall turned. It was Scott Hall turned on Kevin Nash, and I was like, that would never happen. Those guys are best friends in real life. Everybody knows that, And this is dirt sheet time. Internet was and it's Hogan was old when he won the belt for the first time. Yes, he was. But I mean, he's really old now. at least he doesn't have lizard skin like Jimmy Hart though. But Jimmy Hart's like an alien. But you know, like it was about that time because shortly thereafter, we would always get WrestleMania. Like you, me, whoever was watching it, we would get WrestleMania. But this was before that, and like I could never talk my parents into letting me get pay-per-views because my parents had basic cable but didn't have the cable box.
Right.
So they couldn't get the pay-per-views. So I'd have to go over to my brother-in-law's, Shane's, and I would have to give him the money to watch the pay-per-view. So I would go over and pay him, and he'd be like, yeah, you can go have the other TV or whatever. And I would watch the pay-per-views. And it was about that pay-per-view when I went, why am I watching this garbage? This is terrible. And shortly thereafter, you know, that was about the same time that all of a sudden it was King of the Ring time, you know.
Stone Cold.
Well, Stone Cold started having, and we got Mania. You know, my buddy JK ended up flying from Sacramento, and we went to go see King of the Ring, and it was corporate Mankind versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the world title, and it was Vince McMahon as the referee, Gerald Briscoe as the timekeeper, and Pat Patterson as the announcer.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I mean it was at the height of Austin 316, and like how could you not be a fan at that point? And then like what really solidified it for me, and this had to have been it for everybody, was when they announced King of the Ring, and it was Steve Austin versus Kane in a first Inferno match, first ever Inferno match. Got to catch the guy on fire, and I'm like, I have to watch this. But it wasn't for that match that I wanted to watch it. I wanted to watch Mankind versus The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell, and I know that when I watched that pay-per-view, I didn't DVR it because there weren't DVRs at that point, but I VHS'd it, and anybody that told me that wrestling was fake from that moment on, I literally took that and said, watch this match and you tell me it's fake. And like for years.
It's Mankind and which one?
Mankind and Undertaker.
Oh, you were there for that one?
No, that was in Pittsburgh, but I watched it on
pay-per-view,
okay. Live.
Okay.
But I VHS'd it.
Okay. Okay.
So I had the VHS, and then when the VHS actually came out at places like Best Buy, I actually bought the VHS of that one. Probably wore that shit out. You know, like you look back at who was on that card, and it was like the Hardy Boys versus like Edge and Christian, and you know all this other, and they were nobodies at the time. Yep. It was like the Brood versus Michael P.S. Hayes and the Hardy Boys, you know, and it was like, wow. You know, when just a couple, you know, just a year before that, Steve Austin was sitting there facing Savio Vega in matches. Yep. So that stuff just blew me away. Actually, that was King of the Ring 1998, by the way, Chris Barrett, because it's been 23 years to the day. In fact, I think it was like 2 days ago, wasn't it?
And Mick Foley put something on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, 23 years to the day, like 2 days ago. I mean, the Hardy Boys have been with the company since '94. They kind of were, but you know, they were enhancement talent.
They started out on Heat.
They were enhancement talent for so long, and
they started beating. They were still too much. Scotty, he wasn't Scotty Too Hot. He was like Scott Too Hot Taylor, and he was still
Brian Christopher.
Too sexy, Brian Christopher.
Yeah.
Before they became too cool.
Yeah, with Rikishi. Yeah. So SmackDown, Bianca and Cesaro versus Seth and Bayley. I have a problem with this, Tino.
Why?
I mean, the match quality and everything is perfectly solid. The people involved are at the top of their game in every aspect of it. Maybe not Seth. Seth's really kind of boring me with this character of his right now. But what bugs me about it isn't Hell in a Cell supposed to be the end of a feud?
Supposedly.
So
It's a holding pattern. They don't have anything else for Cesaro and Seth right now, I'm guessing.
Well, it's not just them. It's Bianca and Bayley. They were in Hell in a Cell. That's supposed to end the feud.
I think it's a holding pattern. I think something. And I was thinking when I was watching that the whole the Bianca and Seth interacting, I kept looking up the ramp. I kept looking up the ramp. I kept looking up the ramp, thinking the man's gonna come out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Except they're not going to have her be a heel.
I don't think so.
There's no way Becky Lynch is coming back as a heel. And I would say that what they might be holding off now till
Obviously crowds.
Obviously crowds, but remember, right after SummerSlam, you've got the draft, and they'll be in front of live crowds for the draft. So the question is whether or not you actually bring a Brock Lesnar back, Becky Lynch back, or whatever for SummerSlam, or do you bring them back at the draft, which makes the draft the ultimate you have no idea what's going to happen moment.
The draft is usually their season premiere.
Correct. So it's the one where they need to get the ratings.
Yes.
And now what we're seeing, they did a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, but they did a Hell in a Cell match on a Friday and a Hell in a Cell match on a Monday. And the only thing I can think of why they would do that.
Networks got pissed because Fox had it.
No, not exactly. Remember how much fun we had with WrestleMania Hell in a Cell? I think they noticed.
Backlash?
Well, they had WrestleMania SmackDown. They had WrestleMania. They had the WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, and then they had WrestleMania Backlash. So what if they realized, hey, by putting more of this and making it into a week-long event instead of a one-time event, we get better ratings from it. Now, granted, ratings went up 0.4 for SmackDown. So it's not like it jumped up out of the... But part of the reason why is what, Tino?
AEW.
No, they announced it the day before. Like if you had plans on Friday at that point, you weren't staying the fuck home to watch it. If you didn't have plans before, maybe you stood, but otherwise you didn't even know. Well, remember, ratings now are ratings plus 7. So it's 7 full days after the show airs to give you ratings. The feud is never over until you're in coal miner's glove on a pole tuxedo cage match. Loser leaves town. Chris Barrett says that the 0.4 is nothing to scoff at. No, you're absolutely right. It's not. But if they had announced Rey Mysterio versus Roman Reigns a week ago inside Hell in a Cell for the WWE Universal Championship, I got to assume they're going to get a 1 rating bonus. What is up, T? We're assuming you did not have our show on tonight at the
as we're getting it logged out
at Ruckus. Yeah, well, we still got to talk about AEW. Hey man, I'm the one that doesn't care about AEW, but apparently they put on a banger of a main event.
Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega was good.
Was it good or was it a banger of a main event?
It was a banger of a main event. I mean, that he took him to his limit. I mean, I really thought that Jungle Boy at some point was going to win that match a couple times.
What?
Yes, sir. They had you believing he had a chance.
I don't believe that.
Have you watched it?
No.
Watch the fucking match.
I can't bring myself to do it, man. I already know who wins. I already knew who was going to win before the match started.
That's why I don't watch Cameron Owens matches anymore.
Cameron Owens?
Kevin Owens. I don't watch any of his matches anymore. I just fast forward. He's going to lose. Fucker.
He won at WrestleMania 2 years in a row, sir. KO Mania 4. 2 wins in a row at WrestleMania. Anyways, yeah, so you had that. Hangman ended up winning the opener.
We did get Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page challenge. Well, Ethan Page challenged your boy to a coffin match. And we talked about that. I'm like,
Darby Allin.
Isn't that a WWE thing?
I mean, they brought back the Brood and APA and the Ministry of Darkness, and post WrestleMania 14 DX, then they would get 1 million or a 1 point bump in the rate. Yeah, if you brought back the APA to sit there and be the bodyguards for Rey Mysterio, I'd be all about that, man. I'm not even kidding.
Bring the APA back to be the bodyguards for Cameron Grimes.
Ooh, that'd be a good one too. Except, are you gonna get the APA to show up in NXT? I don't think so.
Why?
What about the Authors of Pain? You get them.
Are they still signed?
No.
Yeah.
No, but they're willing to just have random hussies come out with MVP every week.
Random hussies.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to be civil and nice about what I wanted to say. I didn't want to call them sluts.
Random hussies.
Am I wrong?
I'm glad you said random hussies.
That's what they are. That's what they are. Kenny Omega is the new human fast forward machine. Wow. So here's the deal. Kenny Omega really is a super talented pro wrestler. He is horrible on the microphone.
Don Callis didn't help him.
Don Callis is a heat magnet, man, but he's a heat magnet the same way that Baron Corbin is. Like, it's not good for business to have Don Callis as your manager. I can't wait until Everrise shows up in AEW, so you have the Young Bucks versus the Fat Young Bucks.
You keep saying that. It's not. It wasn't funny when you said it Saturday.
It's still funny to me. Hey, I'm fat. I'm allowed to say that people are fat.
You got Penta and Kingston want to go against the Young Bucks.
What's up with Kingston's after the broadcast, like, come out and yell and scream talking about how you're going to get this kind of match on our program but not on the other people's program? Like Eddie Kingston never worked for the other program. Why does he fucking care?
I didn't hear about that.
Oh, yeah, he's not Don Callis, he's Cyrus the Virus. You know, they ought to bring in James Mitchell.
He's tied up with a... Well, I guess they could because...
Well, they did bring him in for the fucking wedding.
Yeah, I guess they're Impact, so they are working together. Because they fired Don Callis as a EVP on Impact, so I'm wondering... They didn't mention
I don't get access.
They didn't mention it on AEW, so I don't know if that... I still don't see how they're not really crossing over. Because Kenny and the Good Brothers do go over to AEW, but none of the AEW guys, like the number one contender right now for the Impact Championship, he should make some appearances on AEW. You know what I mean? Why don't they?
I know
both
exactly.
ways?
I know exactly what you mean. And what you mean is this: you mean that if Moose is your number one contender, for example, I don't know who is, but let's say it's Moose, right? Moose, at this point, should be showing up and beating the shit out of Kenny Omega. Even if it's after Kenny Omega beats Jungle Boy, you should have a run-in. You should have that moment where all of a sudden, like security's got to get involved, right? And all I can think that the reason why they're not doing that is because AEW doesn't think they're worth it.
Who's worth it?
That anybody on Impact's roster is worth it.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and we've had this conversation. Kenny Omega let Michael Nakazawa come out with the TNA championship around his waist, or Impact championship around his waist, and it's like that is so disrespectful to the industry, not even just to that company, to the industry, that you took a jobber that can't even like lace your boots, and you're not even a pro wrestler, takes a jobber that can't do anything with you, and yet we're not seeing any build to the Impact Championship storyline. Like, if Kenny Omega wasn't reminded by Don Callis to wear that championship out with him, he wouldn't even bring it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like how many months was Kenny Omega the AAA champion?
Yeah, because of
he
COVID.
Still is.
Yes, because of COVID.
So how many times have you seen that championship?
Defended or worn? He brings them all out in the ring.
Now, But how many months didn't he? An entire fucking year. He didn't start doing it until all of a sudden he was, oh, I'm the AEW champion. Now I can wear all my belts. Like, I've already said that they're doing the whole early 90s or even WCW booking style where when you're in charge, you get to do whatever the fuck you want. And I don't like it. I think that it's terrible booking. You can put on a banger of a match with anybody, but if no one thinks that you're gonna lose, the fuck's it matter?
Yeah.
You know, like there has to be some belief. Like, this is your problem with Roman Reigns right now.
Yes.
Right now, you think no one can beat Roman Reigns, so why watch the match, right? Well, that's exactly the same way with Kenny Omega. Now, Ring of Honor, I don't know who's the Ring of Honor champion. Kind of feel the same way about Nick Aldis right now. Nick Aldis has been the NWA champion for fucking ever, and has had like 4 matches in like 2.5 years, and yet I don't really want to watch him wrestle again because, well, who are they going to have beat him? Thunder Rosa? Mickey James?
Okay.
His wife? So that's my point though, is that like, you've already said it. Like, even Bobby Lashley on Raw.
Yeah.
Right now, if Drew McIntyre can't go up against him, who can fucking beat him? Now, I have a feeling that because we're going to have a live crowd at Money in the Bank, we're going to have Bobby Lashley lose. Because you're not going to have Roman lose.
Why can't they both win?
Because it'll be your first major pay-per-view in front of a live crowd.
So somebody's got to lose.
So somebody's probably going to lose. Now, granted, remember, Drew McIntyre can't go against Bobby Lashley. But if Kofi Kingston wins, then Drew McIntyre can go against Kofi Kingston.
If he wins Money in the Bank.
Well, and Drew McIntyre, I guess, technically could take Money in the Bank and go against Bobby Lashley as well, which is probably what he's thinking. But overall, I have to assume that that's kind of where they're planning on going with that bullshit right now. And I would much rather, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, I would love Matt Riddle.
That's what I was thinking.
To be the guy that, especially if he's got Randy Orton in his corner. Like, just think about that. Randy Orton comes out, drops MVP, drops Bobby Lashley with RKOs, and then he goes like that. And then Matt Riddle comes out and just, maybe does the Bro Derek or whatever and pins him 1, 2, 3. And then the next night on Raw, Randy Orton comes out and goes, Riddle, we have to have a little talk. After what I did for you, maybe it's time that you actually gave a little something to the Viper. And then Riddle and him, talk about having a match, and before you know it, Riddle goes to put the hand out to give him a handshake, and Randy just drops him with an RKO.
No, we already said nothing was going that way. He'll turn.
Well, and maybe Randy sits there and puts the hand out, and Riddle drops him with an RKO.
That would be, yeah.
That's too good a storytelling. Let me go ahead and pull up some music. Why don't you go ahead and say thanks to everybody and take us out of here.
Thanks, everybody. Take us out of here. We want to say thank you. Thanks for sticking around, folks. You can check this fool out on the Twitter machine at Podcheck. I am at HootieFan91 that is on Twitter. We are Potsy and Tino. You can also check him out on
TikTok.
Yeah, on the TikTok. I'm so tired I can't even think.
Rob Potsy Potcheck.
And on
Twitch, Rob Potsy Potcheck.
And Instagram,
Rob Potcheck.
I'm FC Tino, and that's all the ones we're on.
Facebook, Potsy and Tino.
Obviously on the YouTube, you're watching it right now. And as always, we want to say thank you to Adams Hascat for the wrestling song. That is going to be 99¢ on iTunes. We also want to say on the Big Hill, besides all these fireworks, we hear Ric Flair, and he is saying, "Woo!
Car shield! Woo!" Good night, everybody. Woo!